welcome to a special edition of Crawford County Outdoors. I'm Dwayne Kohler, and I'm joined by Julia Catalano. And Julia, we're back at the Conneaut Lake Sportsman's Club tonight.
We are, yes. We're drawing our 50-50 right now, so excuse the noise. We are really excited to have representatives from the Ernst Trail coming and talking with us today. We know that a lot of the Ernst Trail has been done from Meadville west, and they're actively going to be connecting to Conneaut Lake, so we're really eager to hear how that's going to all be working.
I think it was about a year ago we did a show, and we showed the new connection from the Ernst Trail from behind the bowling alley over down like towards the boot box there.
Right.
That was awesome. That is really phenomenal. So now this new connection, that's going to be a bigger project, I think.
Yeah, I think it's real big, and it's going through some swampy area, and it's going to come out right behind where the winery is, just right outside of Conneaut Lake town. So, and I believe part of it, we even can walk on it right now from the winery back. So we're eager to hear all about it.
Yay, well that's great. Well, let's go to the presentation.
Yeah, good evening. Appreciate you all coming. We're always glad to tell you about what we're up to with the trail. One of our long-term goals is to connect Meadville and Conneaut Lake. So good to be talking to you all from this area. Calvin's been working real hard on the end of the trail here that comes into Conneaut Lake, and he'll tell you about that after this. Ed and I are on the board, and Calvin also of French Creek Recreational Trails, which is the business name of the Ernst Trail. And Ed's got a slide up here to tell us a little bit about the rail bed. You may already know quite a bit about it, but the railroad was abandoned in 1976 from Meadville to Linesville. Shortly thereafter, it was offered to the county for a recreational trail, but the county wasn't interested at the time, and so the rail bed kind of went into limbo. Calvin bought part of it. Other people may have purchased part of it also, or thought they did. So our group formed in 1994-95. The reason we got together initially was that the railroad from Meadville to Sagertown to Cambridge Springs, Union City, Corey, and on east was possibly being abandoned. And our group was gotten together to take over the rail bed and turn it into a recreational trail. Well, it turned out it wasn't abandoned. It is just a single track now, but there we were, all excited, all ready to build a trail, and our rail bed had just been taken away from us. Sounds pretty sad. Well, just so happened that Lila Beetle, she's your niece, Calvin? Is Lila Beetle your niece?
Yeah, she knows she's my cousin.
Cousin, okay. So our treasurer, Lila Beetle, knew that Calvin owned the section of the trail from 322 to 19, correct, or most of it. And so she connected us with Calvin. Calvin was good enough to give us access to the trail. I guess you were looking to have it used for a community project. And so we got to work. Over the years, we've have about 5.5 miles of trail paved from Beans over to Crider Road. And we've since expanded approximately 1.9 miles to Bailey Road, if you know where Bailey Road is, and going east, we've gone about 1.5 miles to Mary Gable Park, which is right behind the boot box, if you know where that is. And we're hopeful that we'll have a trail or passageway of some sort fairly soon into Bicentennial Park. And Ed could possibly talk about what the Northwest Pennsylvania group is doing to make plans for all that. So anyway, that's what we've been up to. We've been working on it for 27 years now, That's how far we've gotten. One of our obstacles as far as money goes is that the big emphasis in western Pennsylvania is connect what they call a lake to the sea trail, connecting Lake Erie, which would go through Corey. Spartansburg is a trail in Spartansburg, crosses Route 89, and 77 as you drive through Spartansburg. Goes on down to Titusville, you're probably familiar with that, to Franklin, Oil City, and through and on down to Pittsburgh. And then east to the, where does it come out in? Where does the Great Passage Trail come out? Is it Maryland? Chesapeake Bay somewhere?
It goes to Washington, D.C.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Eventually through Cumberland. And
All right, so you eventually get to the sea. So that's the lake to the sea trail. We're not part of that, and so we don't get the money that goes into developing that. So we kind of pieced it together with grants when we can get them, a lot of personal effort from a lot of people, and a lot of community support. So anyway, that's what we're up to. Ed has some slides here he's going to show us about some of the things we've done over the years, and then Calvin's going to talk about the trail coming into Conneaut Way.
thank you, Dick. Oh, by the way, there's some brochures and pens on the front table when you leave. You can pick up. I'm going to start out a little bit with the ancient history of geology. I'm going to go through that real quickly just to set the stage, and then I'll show you some slides of all the work we've done, which is a lot of bridge building and things like that. So you know what you're getting into if our group comes this way and we build a trail. So back in the ancient days, thank God we don't see this guy much around anymore. His arms are too short to reach the handlebars. This is kind of what our area looked like. And the people in those days kind of wondered how they saw marine fossils up on mountaintops. Some people thought it was Noah's flood, but actually it was the shifting continent. And of course, I think you folks have already had many presentations about formation of Conneaut Lake, but we're pretty close to the edge of where the glaciers came down. So what we deal with now is the stones and sand and silt that come off the mountaintops, which is why we've had to build so many bridges. And also, you see this bridge, it has collected sand and silt. We have to plow it out every once in a while. This is what the trail looked like when we first took it over. You can hardly tell it is a trail, but there was the old railroad bed. And so we started working on it. One of the first things was to build a covered bridge, which is our signature landmark. But it was usable. There were a lot of gullies. At that time, you had to carry your bike over, but we began to use it pretty quickly. And in the wintertime, you could cross-country ski, which we still like to do that. We try to plow half the trail when we can so that the skiers can use half and walkers can use the other half. This is just a map of what Dick was talking about. The green line is what we've succeeded in getting paved. And of course, everyone knows paving costs have gone through the roof, so we're settling for more of a fine limestone dust top most of the time. If we get money, we want to pave as much as we can, and we're looking to pave some of the road low sections that get frequently flooded. But for now, some of our new sections going to Meadville are the fine limestone. If you've seen that on that Allegheny Passage Trail, it's a pretty good, durable surface. You can almost ride a skinny tire bike on that. This is just a map of the current trail. Just wanted to show this bridge here. We did all this work on this bridge, and the big winter storm came and floated it downstream. So that bridge is gone. So we're undeterred. We came back, built a bigger one, taller one. So this one's withstood so far. It's holding out well. It's got more secure footings. This is a shot of the field behind Smucker's, where we have built the trail. Just want to kind of show a before and after shot of that. This is the grassy field. This is after. And this is the limestone dust that I mentioned. So it's a real passable trail. A little further down there is where we get into some mud and some overflow from French Creek that we're trying to get some grant money to build that up. This is another bridge. This is near Mary Gable Park, almost in the city of Meadville. This bridge we decided to purchase instead of building with volunteer efforts. So that worked out very well. It's a real nice solid bridge. We're happy we did that. So I don't know how many bridges total we have there, probably 10, something like that. Yeah, we do a lot of bridge building, but I think we'll still have a little bit of that as we go westward. I know there's a few gullies in there that we have to traverse. Volunteers, this is one of our best volunteers, picking up sticks. Just showing a little bit, Keith Mink was a real prime mover back in the early days, and we have a bridge named after him. Some Eagle Scouts helped to build an overlook that is still there. It's doing well. There's some shots of what we were involved in the Covered Bridge project. So a lot of work. That was a little before my time, but I did help a little bit on that, but I think, Dick, you were in there more, and a lot of other folks really did a lot of good volunteer work to build that bridge. There's Tom McNally with the megaphone, one of our primary movers in the early stages, and there's a memorial to Tom on the trail. One bridge, it was getting filled in with silt, we had to raise it. So that was actually ended up being more expensive than it was to build the bridge to start with. I have a few slides about wildlife. It's something we emphasize on the trail. You'll see you see turtles, beavers. Beavers we have mixed feelings about, but people were so glad to see them and look for them and spotted them. We said leave the beavers alone, so they weren't hurting anything. So you'll see them. Many different kinds of flowers on the trail. Some of the bad wildlife, mosquitoes, probably people know. You have to wear a lot of mosquito repellent if you're walking, and you'll spot the occasional snake, which I don't think we see too many poisonous ones. Just a few of the memorials we have. This is on the Covered Bridge. There are plaques for different for people to get their name memorialized on the bridge. Several different pavilions and gazebos we've built. On most of the trailheads, there'll be a pavilion. This is probably our newest one, the Lions Club. It's on Bailey Road. Bob Stein Memorial and Gazebo, and there's the Tom McNally Memorial Stone and Bench, which is very near the Covered Bridge. Okay. Just a few scenes. This is early on in the trail, right beyond the Covered Bridge. Every once in a while, that's almost all flooded if we get real heavy rains, but it's a beautiful setting. Just some other scenes over near Krager Road. This here is near Johnson Road. It's as we extend westward to Bailey. Kind of the trail does a little loop around that. This is a scene of the trail, also near Johnson Road, west of 19, and it's rougher stone. That's what we ended up having to do. It's very usable, but we're hoping to redo that at some point, either with a limestone or if we could afford it, go paving on that. Okay, just a map showing we're still trying to go into Bicentennial Park in Meadville. That's a little tougher because we're going through city streets and on busy highways. So I will mention that Dick said there's a group, Northwest Commission, is investigating and helping us give alternative routes, both from where we are now into Meadville and also Conneaut Lake to Linesville. So there are public meetings. I don't know how well publicized they have been, if any of you folks are aware of it. If you go to the Ernst Trail Facebook, you'll see a connection for that. So they're very good about trying to get public opinion, see what people want for those trails. And there is a meeting coming up June 22nd at 6 o'clock. These are virtual meetings. You have to log on with your computer. But you can leave comments. You can see the options. For each of these routes, they've produced several options. So not quite ready to present those yet, but they've done a lot of work. And it's very, very interesting and very hopeful that we have so many people interested in increasing the trail size. Okay, this is another map of, in the green is the paved section. The pink is done, that's kind of the rougher stone path, and then the blue, eventually we're hoping to do at some point. Okay, Calvin, you want to talk a little bit about Conneaut Lake?
About the time that this group really got started on making the trail from basically Bailey Road into Meadville, I realized that I should have bought the whole thing, and that's good hindsight. It's actually taken me about 5 active years working with the Bessemer Lake Erie Railroad to get an agreement with them. They've been, because it's a public utility yet, the county still has an option to buy it for about another 40 days. And actually also the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation and some other state agencies. And then it will be decommissioned as a public utility, and then a private person can own it. And I have the first right of refusal to buy it. And so I want to show you a little bit about where I'm going. I'll tell you about this story a little later. So right now, this is actually where Beam gas station is right in here, and then we come down around the curve, and this is what Dick was showing us that's already done, or Ed. And then we come out here to this is where the Interstate 79 goes over Route 19. We come over here to Bailey Road, currently. No, but Bailey Road's clear over here. So that much is already done. Now to reach out through the swamp and in here to right in this property right here is operates where the Conneaut Cellars Winery is, and Silver Shores right across there, the city of Conneaut Lake, and then on out here to well, here's where the Conneaut Lake Park extension was, and this is the active road out there in near Lionsville, the active railroad. They're willing to sell from here to the city of Conneaut Lake, and then from Conneaut Lake, from this private property here on over to Route 19. And so we're in the process of doing that. Like I say, it's about 40 days that the county could act, and they don't act within 40 days, then it'll revert to some state agencies, and eventually, if they're all eliminated, then I have this option to buy it. Right now, it is just a jungle of thorns and multiflora rose and grown-up brush, and sometimes the trees are 6 inches big. That would be the bigger ones, but a lot of just massive multiflora rose in there, because they just invaded it tremendously after it was discontinued the use. The railroad did. But in the meantime, I've started a little project on Coleman Road. The Ernst Farm owns these lots right here on Coleman Road, and then they own these lots down here, and several, at least 100 acres right in here of farmland. This is farmland over here. You'll see us farming in this area, right up in here. And then, but since we own these lots in here, we have opened up what we call Coleman Drive to come in past here. You see this with and there's plotted lots out in Conneaut Lake there. And this is not Conneaut Lake. This is the Erie Canal retention basin if you look at some old maps, about 1840. So they were, yeah, 1840. And this water in this basin is 7 feet higher than Conneaut Lake, right across 322, across the Ford, past the Ford dealership. The water is actually 7 feet lower than it is in this basin, which is really an interesting thing for most people to understand. This basin is also 7 feet higher than this water right here. And so the beavers have a beaver dam here. And we leave the beaver dam in there, but that's where the trail, you notice we've had a sign out there right by Conneaut Cellars to, the trail is open to the beaver dam, or the nature walk. I'm calling it a nature walk for the time being. So this will be on the road down to here. And anyone can walk it today, tonight, tomorrow, whatever they want to do. You take a mosquito spray right along with you, because they're in there. So that, we had a kind of an introduction of that one day here a couple weeks ago, just to show people how it goes, how far they can walk down in there. But this was a case where there was just a massive amounts of multiflora rose and even just ash trees and whatever else that we've had to get out of the way. And we are using some of the gravel that was left over here in this gravel pit to make a surface on this, somewhat like Dick is speaking about, somewhat like a limestone mix. It has enough clay in it that it packs pretty hard. It probably eventually would be good to cover it with a limestone mix. But right now we have it down about this far, and we plan to take it on down here this summer as soon as we can. Historically also, the interesting thing is about out in here there was the eagle's nest, and everybody know about the eagle's nest at Conneaut Lake. Well, see, they actually moved. Now you have to stay 600 feet away from the eagle's nest, but they moved on further here, so we don't have any conflict there going in there right now. And
how'd you get them to do that? How did you get the eagles to move?
you know, I talked to them tonight. We always have to have somebody who knows a lot about what's going on. And so that's kind of where we're at. Stay tuned, I guess you'd say. But we do want to, I think it's the active part of going out to Lionsville, now, it needs 5 years of negotiating with them. I found a lot of things about the titles and all that stuff. And I brought this picture along. I know Conneaut Lake has the best museum in northwestern Pennsylvania, but the Canal Museum down at Greenville is really a nice place to visit. And the reason that I got interested in the Canal Museum is most of the titles of the railroad track came from the canal. Basically, the canal went clear out here to this active thing, went north and south here. And the canal, of course, Conneaut Lake had to be raised from 8 to 10 feet higher so that the water flowed north. But the water came from French Creek up north of Meadville, flowed in, went actually on the east side of French Creek, down to an aqueduct across French Creek near Shaw's Landing, and came across, and then joined the trail as it came in towards the marsh area. And so it flows, the canal actually flows towards Conneaut Lake, even though the water from Conneaut Lake flows towards French Creek. So it's sort of a counter-flow thing. But this Lake Erie captain, Mr. Reed, and he has some buildings in Erie yet that you can visit, or even historical sites. And so this boat down in Greenville is called the Rufus S. Reed. And so he was a Erie Lake captain, and he kept he wanted to get more product up the Erie, and so that's why when the federal government failed at completing the canal, I don't know what date, I don't want to give you a date, but they failed and so he bought the whole thing, and basically the railroad bought him out to make their railroads. Clear from Beaver, Pennsylvania to Erie, and to Meadville. So it's a pretty extensive canal system for a while. And you can go down to Greenville and look at it. I know Conneaut Lake has a real special museum. Yeah. That's kind of what my story is. And anybody have any questions? I can. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I know Conneaut Lake is 7 feet lower than the basin.
Yes.
But did you just say that the south of the basin is 7 feet lower, or is lower than the basin?
Right here. You go down there and look.
Yeah, is that lower than the basin?
The basin is 7 feet higher than this.
Okay, so if on both sides
Yes.
it's lower, does the old canal, is the old canal what fills the basin now?
It is currently feeding the canal, yes. From somewhere in this area here, it flows this way.
Huh.
And there's some culverts that bleed it off, but technically it is feeding from the canal.
And that's feeding from French Creek, because French Creek is...
It's broken. It's broken too many. I don't want to say from French Creek.
Okay.
It's actually just rainwater that comes off in the Vernon Township area.
But originally,
It-
when they had the canal,
yes.
they brought it all the way from French
To
Creek
get enough water to
to get it up higher. So
Yeah.
basically it stayed higher.
Yeah. So, but the breaks in it now, where it's washed out and stuff. So it doesn't come from French Creek.
There's artesian wells in this area. I know across the lake, on the point across the lake from downtown,
Yes.
there's artesian wells there that will flow 3 and 4 feet above the ground.
Is that right?
If you pump it
Yeah,
up,
yeah. Yeah, there's some artesian wells in the area of South Vernon Road too, that I know of. And they put a pipe up that higher so they don't flow out.
Yeah.
So is the Beaver Dam what's holding the difference?
Yeah, that's right. It is currently holding the difference. Yes. And one of the little short histories, probably about 30 years ago, the gravel company dug it out to drain this so they could get more gravel out of here. It dug the railroad out.
Oh my.
And then we put the culvert back in, but the beavers are actually managing the water level. What I put a culvert in is actually the same water that both the beaver did. Beavers are in charge.
That's neat.
Yeah. And I'd also like to put in a kayak and canoe. I know there's a lot of splatter docks in there, but it'd be a nice place to launch a kayak or a canoe right along there. And we'll make some parking available for that here. And well, I can actually sell you some lots in. Well, I'm talking to this good of an audience. I better mention that. And yeah. So yes, sir.
You mentioned that you had an opportunity to purchase the railroad land. I wonder what would be the intersection with Conneaut Lake to Linesville when that was vacated in 1977. A number of property owners filed claims
Yeah.
for the railroad track property.
That is the case from here on out to Lionsville, from here down to Lionsville. The public utility was released from that back in 1977 or something, and so that's going to be a very difficult area to stay on the railroad track because of that.
Do you have any issues from the ice company, the old ice company that formed from Conneaut
No,
Lake? This is all beyond that. I assume.
Yeah, that's already, you know that's already purchased. Those pieces have already been purchased, yeah. And, yes, sir, Bill.
Hey, Calvin, what's the approximate distance from the winery past the Beaver Dam to the finished Ernst Trail in Meadville, approximately what is that distance there?
You mean how long?
Well, assuming the trail is completed from the winery to Meadville,
Yes.
how much of additional trail will be finished to connect
Oh,
Conneaut
it
Lake?
would be, it'd be about 8 miles. Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's, see, there's 5 miles of paved right now. We've added about a mile and a half to that. So there's about 7 miles already. And if we go under Smock Memorial Bridge and go towards the park in Vernon Township, that's probably another mile. So we've got 5, 6, 7, 8 already in this spot double.
Thank you.
Yeah,
About 11 altogether, I think, is what.
11, okay, yeah.
Kind of like the Beaver.
No, yeah, okay, that sounds real reasonable, 11 miles. So that'll make a good run for somebody. Yes, ma'am?
So then, the next step would be to go from Conneaut Lake to Linesville then, right?
A difficult process, yes.
Because of crossing the highway and all of
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, highways and active railroads and,
Landowners.
and landowners, yeah. So that's kind of where that's at.
But you can get to Meadville Junction though, can you?
No, we can't get the, no, see, a lot of this, even though I have this map up, from here up to here is already purchased. Yeah, as well as in the borough of Conneaut Lake.
And that's Meadville Junction up there where they used to turn the drains around?
Yeah, this is Meadville Junction.
Okay.
Yeah. There was none of the property in Conneaut Lake Borough proper is for sale yet. Now, I will answer the question. The interesting thing is, by me buying this section that I'm buying, now they're discontinuing it as a public utility. But before they'd sold parcels without doing that. But they do, like Dick said, when I bought my parcel, the county had a first option, which is the case now with this. But they have to act within 60 days of when I sign an agreement sometime in April or May sometime. So it's on a, yes, sir.
Calvin, are you saying that from, say, 618 by Antonio's Restaurant up to Meadville Junction is purchased now?
618, yes, it is it is purchased. Those are private landowners in there. They own it just like you own your house lot. Yeah, I mean, you get absolute title when you buy it.
So does that mean by saying it's purchased that that you could develop a path along there, trail along there? Or?
No, not any more than I can develop a trail in your front yard.
Pardon me?
Not any more than you can develop a trail in your front yard, unless you give someone permission.
I was up there a few years ago and it wasn't really a friendly environment.
We want to make a little more friendly environment this way, coming toward Meadville. Yes. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, if you can get across 322, you know, I know the trailhead's right there at the winery now.
Yeah.
If you could get across 322, what's the route going to be if you were from, like, say, Icehouse Park? Which way do you think you're going to go?
That's what the Northwest Commission is actually trying to, they're actually working with PennDOT, working with the county, several, and how do they do that? They've got different plans.
Yeah. I think, well, crossing 322 was kind of an issue, it's so busy, so I believe now, thinking Northwest coming into town and going across that first street or something. And then the railroad bed resumes after that. That's part of what they're trying to investigate. We're not really sure which is the most feasible route. I know you mentioned from Antonio's, that is the Erie Canal right there, and that is the old river right there. I just didn't know if you were on 618 going back up towards Conneaut Lake or going up that way. I've never walked that. I mean, I know that's all private property, but I don't know where that railroad bed ends up to the
Meadville Junction, and is that in here?
Yeah, Meadville Junction.
I think he's going the other way. You mean toward town?
Yeah, going toward town. I just didn't know where, I mean, I drove that all today, and I was thinking, man, this is, be nice, but, and there's too many things involved in getting that property.
Well, you see,
Even though the rail bed was there.
That's what's better.
Yeah.
but that horse is out of the barn, in the way you can say it. To stay on the trail there, to stay on the railroad. But the township roads or working with the township roads or the state roads, and even making some agreement with the Bessemer Lake area to cross their main track there someplace, make a crossing, because there's some great crossings in Sadbury or the next town west, Township West, already, and so they can't prevent people from walking across the grade crossing. So those are the kind of things we have to look at. Yeah. It's not a simple process, but, yeah. Yes, ma'am?
Can you tell me how many people use the trail every year, and if it's used more for biking or hiking?
Say that again?
Can you tell me about how many people use the trail every year, and if it's more bikers or hikers?
20, I'm just guessing 20,000. What do you think, Ed? How many people use the trail?
Well, theoretically, we should have a timer, or,
Yes.
you know, what they have on the highway to
Yeah.
keep cars.
Yes.
But we had a person who went to the trail every day estimate that there were 300 people a day on the trail. And she went every day and she ran from Beans, I don't know, 4 or 5 miles down, turned around. Her guess was that 300 people a day use the trail. She's mostly there in the morning.
And the thing that's Marcia and I's house, back of our house, looks right out on the trail, particularly in the wintertime when there's no trees. We're just amazed how many people are walking it even in the wintertime and skiing on it and stuff like that. It's very active, just very encouraged. And this COVID thing really brought it on. Boy, it just increased, it just grew right up with that. Because people could get out there and not have to sign up for anything and just go. Hope we're over that though. So I don't want the population to decrease, I want it to stay up. Use. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
I might mention that since presumably you all live around here, I mean, this is actually a pretty nice walk from the winery down to the Beaver Dam. It's in pretty good shape.
Pretty decent.
I walked it with my wife here a couple of weeks ago, and she's not a rough ground walker by any means. So you need something to do for an hour or so. It's a great walk. See what's going on there.
In a few days, in a few weeks, I hope to get in there with the crew and finish grading it up though. Needs a little more grading.
I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Who helps you with trail maintenance, like with the trails that
Okay.
you already, is that your group?
Right now, Dick is the president of the trail group, and the volunteers just doing it. And then we get some contributions for people to come and, like, we have to buy some gravel, we have to buy some asphalt repair material and stuff like that, or fencing, but the labor is almost entirely volunteers. Like they poured a pad in there by Beans just recently. I mean, a lot of preparation was done with volunteer help and
Marcy can tell us about that. Marcy, want to tell us about the cement pad?
Yeah, we had volunteer labor. The CATA has the bikes that you can rent there, and there's a lot of areas around town. I think there's 5 or 6 areas around Meadville. There's a little geofence so that you can take that bike and park it someplace else and stop your rental, or you can just take it from there at Beans Auto, ride down the trail and return it there. It's minimal. I think it's like $2 or $3 for an hour.
And we had quite an issue with the mud, the French Creek flooding right below that, between Beans and where it goes underneath the Smock Memorial Bridge, because it was real low ground. And of course, the DEP originally had said you can't fill and you can't do anything like that. You have to take out as much dirt as you bring in. And so they laboriously took out a lot of dirt and made it the same level as the old soil level was. And minimum impact. Now they've agreed that no, we have to have it so people can't walk through water and French Creek water just to go on a trail. So they allowed us to raise it up about 3 feet. And that's being done right now with some real high quality stuff that'll be high enough quality eventually we can pave over top of it. Yes, sir.
So Calvin, if you have somebody who wants to make a donation to the group for the maintenance of the trail,
Yes.
you have somebody mention the website and the fact that they're a 501c3, right?
Yes, we are. Yes, and talk to Marcy or Dick or Ed or any of them. And I'm not in that part. I just volunteer. But thank you for mentioning that. Yes.
There is on the brochures that they have up there, there is a nice little area that you can donate if you'd like. It has the address.
Couple of them.
Oh, yeah, the brochures are right here.
A couple of different ones.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks for joining us today on Crawford County Outdoors. It was awesome to hear about the expansion of the Ernst Trail. Ernst Trail is one of our favorite things around here in Crawford County. So get out there and have fun outside. Well, thanks for joining us today. We will talk to you next time.